Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Mondays. It is the week of March 14th, 2023. Congratulations on making it another week, another 2 weeks. I took another week off in between episodes. Wasn't intentional. I guess I was sick. I was a little sick. I've been sick. Maybe you can hear it in my voice. So that was part of the reason. Really put me out of sorts for like a week. Felt like shit. Was completely fine though. Just a cold. I am kind of I forgot I'm not supposed to swear in the first however long of this now. Isn't that kind of stupid? It's too late. I already swore anyway. It's fucking stupid. I don't know the censorship rules, nor do I care. It doesn't really matter. Because that's the whole point of this whole thing, is to not be censored, to be unfiltered and give you my full transparent opinion on my own life and the world around me. That's actually not a bad description of what this is supposed to be. Anyways, I was feeling like shit for a week, both physically and mentally. It's been a rough go of it. I don't really know the reasoning. Well, I guess there's a million different reasons. They all float through my head all day, every day, as of recent. Yeah, I've had a tough couple weeks mentally. Just, again, the common theme of like questioning my place in the world, questioning if I'm making the right decisions, and all the while just like wasting time dwelling on the decisions that I am making by not doing the things that I want to be doing, because I'm just like in my own head and not actually putting the work in that I want to be putting in. So it's kind of silly. It's dumb. Like, I know it is, but it's still been really difficult for me the last couple of weeks for some reason. So that's been something I've been trying to work through as best as I can. I don't really know. I mean, I know what would help, but like, I don't know. I don't think it's any like drastic change that I have to make in my life or something. Like, I just have to get back to feeling okay and present in the moment. But it's been really, really hard for me. But the saddening part to me, the worst part to me, is that over the last couple of weeks, I've like had some pretty cool achievements, and I haven't even allowed myself to like enjoy them and be happy and be present, because I'm so worried about everything else instead of just being in the moment. For example, the movie that I had the pleasure of working on, Neon Bleed, which is now available on Vudu and a couple other services, that my girlfriend Jen Siri also was a part of. She was in the movie. I worked on specifically the title track Neon Bleed for the movie, because it's about a pop star. So I produced the song for the final song of the movie. Not to give any spoilers or anything, but the movie's called Neon Bleed. I guess it's not really that much of a spoiler. But this past week was the premiere for the movie, and it just didn't feel like the achievement it should have. And I don't know. There's a lot of forces involved in that, not just in my own head, I suppose. But that was one thing. I'll get into that in a second. And then another thing is one of the April 94 songs, the one we did with Grab It's called Black Screen, just hit 1 million streams on Spotify, which is our first song to ever, first anything to ever hit 1 million anything. We have well over 1 million streams on Spotify collectively, but we've never had one song get 1 million. So that was like a really cool moment, but I don't know. That's a whole nother layer of things that affect my mental health that I don't necessarily want to get into at this current moment, but both great things. I was a part of a movie. I got to go to the screening of it and see my name in the credits of the movie, and see a theater of people hear my work and watch her amazing work. She was great in the movie. And it just didn't hit the way I guess I imagined it would, for a litany of reasons. And then same thing with 1 million streams. It's like that's something we had been working towards for so long, and now that April 94 is no longer a thing, I suppose maybe that's obviously mostly the reason why, of like, damn, it was like wow, none of this really matters. And I don't mean that so much as in a depressing way. Maybe it's like a realization of how unimportant it really is. And I don't know that that's a bad thing. Just being transparent, like it doesn't matter. It matters to, but again, this is what I talked about 2 weeks ago. So you can see where my head's still in the same space. It doesn't mean that it doesn't matter to me. It should matter a lot to me. But the fact that it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme kind of like hindered my ability to enjoy it, as well as the fact that I couldn't enjoy it with the people I would want to enjoy it with, who also put the work in to get to that place. But that's, again, a whole nother subject. But yeah, the movie premiere is funny because, all right, it's first red carpet, right? We live in Hollywood. It seemed like we didn't know what to expect. It's her first big role. It was obviously my first time working on a movie, and it was an independent film, but it's a feature film. It's an actual film. It's not like some shit that was shot on an iPhone that like some students put together. No offense to anyone doing that, but like it was a real movie. It is a actual movie that will exist forever until some meteor hits the earth and everything is wiped out. It will exist until that point. And so we were excited to go to the red carpet and stuff, obviously. Like stupid stuff like not stressing, but like worrying about or planning like our outfits and stuff like that. Obviously, it doesn't matter as much for me. I'm not actually in the movie, but like I worked in the movie, so I suppose I don't know how it works for like a big film or something, but I'm sure that the other, the cast and crew, like all of them go on the red carpet and stuff like that. And so obviously they worry about what they're wearing too. But it's just silly in my head. This is me judging myself. It just was kind of silly to like, how am I going to look? It doesn't fucking matter. For her, it's a little different because it's like she's actually in the film. She's an actress. She's has to be there, on the red carpet and stuff. And she looked wonderful. But like just leading up to it, just the little stresses. But it was like exciting. You know what I mean? To be like, oh, what are we going to wear? I didn't go with a suit. I felt like a suit was overdressed because, again, I didn't know what we were getting into. I don't have the money to buy a suit, first of all. And the 1.5 suits that I have wouldn't be a suit you'd wear to something like that, nor do they fit me, I don't think. Because I don't know if I was fatter or skinnier then, but they don't fit me quite as well as I would like if I was going to wear a suit and look nice. So I went with something else, which there are no pictures of. This is another thing that I got we both were anxious, got so caught up in like the anxiety of the moment that I didn't fully let myself enjoy it and be like, yeah, let's take a pic, let's do this. Again, didn't know what we were getting ourselves into. So the red carpet starts at 7, movie starts showing at 8. Obviously don't want to get there right at 7. That's what we thought, at least. Like, got to show up a little fashionably late. Fashionably late was like 7:40. So when we got there, there was a million people. I thought it was going to be like a small thing with like cast and crew, maybe some other people, like a +1 situation. It was not. It was like probably 200-ish people there. At least I've never been good at estimating. Remember when you were a kid and they'd like in elementary school, they'd have like a jar of M&Ms and it was like activity, whoever guessed the amount wins a prize or something, whoever's closest. I was never good at that stuff. So I don't know. It could have been 30 people, but it was more than 30. It was probably in between 100 to 200 people and about 100 more than I thought would be there, or that we thought. So as soon as we get there, I don't know how much of this I should be saying. Let me preface it by saying this. I mean absolutely no disrespect to anyone that was involved at all. This is just my own cripplingly anxious opinion on what I was a part of, what I saw, what we saw. And maybe part of the reason that I didn't enjoy it as much as I should have and as much as I wish I had. But anyways, so we get there around 7:30, 7:40, and immediately it's chaos. Like we walk up to where the red carpet area is. I guess I don't know. I never have been in a situation like that. So I guess I was envisioning like you get there and it's like, when you go to like a museum and you exit through the gift shop. So like there's a path that is, you go here first, then here, then you go to the theater. That's what I thought. Like, oh, okay, so when we get there, the way into the theater will be the red carpet. No, it was just off to the side of the theater, which means you kind of had to like butt your way in, be like, I want to take a picture on the red carpet. Immediately that turned me off, and I felt weird. And I don't think that's a bad thing. Like, I think that maybe it's just not something I value to the point of like, I'm going to assert myself into a crowd of people and be like, I'm more important. Get out of the way. It's my turn. And that's how I felt other people were acting. Again, no disrespect to anybody, because the people that I was around that were doing that at the red carpet had nothing to do with the movie. They were just there. And again, no small accomplishment. This movie was really, really great, especially given the fact that it's an independent film. And it's won awards overseas and also in the United States for it's doing great as a movie. So I'm not saying it's like a nothing burger, but also I don't know, it's not like Transformers 7 or something like that. And people who were not involved with the movie, it felt like one of those situations you hear about where like Hollywood kind of takes over, and it's like people just like, I don't know. I feel bad saying this because if anyone from the movie list, I don't mean anyone involved with the movie at all. This is just the nature of the beast. This is just the nature of that industry. It felt like there were like people that were like blood sucking off of this amazing achievement that was the movie, and like, it's my turn to take a picture. I'm like butting in. And it's like, dude, what? It's not like someone's like, oh, hey, you were part of it, take a picture. It was like, I want to be seen here, which immediately kind of turned me off to that part of the experience. But also, I'm like, fuck that, Jay. You are literally a star of the movie. You're absolutely going on the red carpet and taking a picture. So we like went, she got her picture taken and stuff. But at that moment, I was so like flabbergasted with the amount of people and the type of people, just overhearing these like pretentious Hollywood conversations. Again, no one that's involved in the movie, not like this film, it was not that at all. All those people were super amazing because the cast and crew of that movie is amazing. And you're like talking to people, whatever, doing their own thing. But the other people who had nothing to do with it that were just there, it just felt very like the things you hear about Hollywood and the people who were there. And also, I acknowledge and recognize that this could be my own haterish mind, because when you live in a place like this, especially if you're trying to like get into that industry or that world, of course you're gonna like shake hands, kiss babies, like try to meet everyone you can, and like networking is so important. So I give them the benefit of the doubt that maybe that's mostly what their concern was that they were trying to network and stuff like that. But I feel that networking, there's like a fine line between networking and being yourself and putting yourself out there and like trying to act like something you're not or be someone important when it's, I don't know, it just felt so like forced and weird being around those types of people, and like a lot of them. But also I've never been to anything like this. So maybe that's literally how all of them were. And I think part of the reason also, as I was saying, was that I wasn't expecting it to be like that. Like I was expecting something completely different. And then you get thrown into a situation where it's like, I've been around like music people and networking like that, but never this side of things. So it was just so much different than anything I've been a part of. So that I acknowledge that maybe that's why I have the image of what it was in my head that I do. And it may not have been what I was imagined. Like, it may not be as bad as I'm making it out to be, as far as like people like blood sucking off of other people. I think maybe it's just a construct in my head that that's the trope of Hollywood in general. So when I finally was thrust into that environment, that's the vibe I got. I don't know if it was necessarily that vibe, but that's how I felt. That's how I think. I don't want to speak for her, but I think that's kind of how we both felt. And then, you know, we go in and it's just like a zoo trying to get like popcorn. Because you go into an experience and you have an idea of how it's going to go, and then it doesn't go that way. And it's almost impossible not to feel somewhat disappointed for no reason. It was overall a really cool thing that we got to go and do and experience. celebrating our achievements and the achievements of other people that we've got to work with that are super talented and hardworking and have put so much money and time and effort behind this awesome piece of art. But in line to get popcorn, it's the same thing. It's almost like pushing and shoving just to get pop. It's like, dude, chill the fuck out. So there's that. We didn't get any okay, back to it. Sorry. Like I envisioned, like, oh, it's our first movie, both of us, our first movie that we've ever worked on. We gotta we're in the movie theater. It's, just I wanted to feel like a movie. Like, wow, we're at the movies watching our movie. So like we got to get popcorn. Didn't get any popcorn because it was, someone came in and made an announcement like the show's about to start, and like almost kind of angry and mean, which that's those types of people's job. So I understand. So we're like, fuck, let's just go get a decent seat. And so we went, sat down, watched the movie. Awesome. Something I haven't really even discussed with her. It was such a cool moment. I'm just going to say now, spoiler alert, you should go watch the movie. I don't want to ruin it for you. You absolutely should. Support the people that made it, and also me and my girlfriend, if you like me and you're watching this. But anyways, I'm going to spoil it. So here's your warning. But Jay's character, I'm going to sneeze. Where does a sneeze go when it doesn't come out of you? That's what I want to know. My bad. Anyways, so Jay's part in the movie is she's like the current girlfriend of the main character, the pop star that the movie is centered around. Basically like Bieber, like someone on that level. And she's also a pop star, Jay's character, Rocka Fife. And so crazy shit happens. The movie's wild, and Jay gets killed. Jay gets shot in the fucking head in the movie. And it was incredible. We had already watched the movie at home. We like bought it on Vudu, to support, and also was like so excited. Holy shit, it's out. We got to watch it. We hadn't seen it. I had seen bits and pieces doing the ADR. So ADR, for anyone who doesn't know, is I don't even exactly know what it is. Or like what it stands for. ADR in movies. I just want to get the exact thing. Automated dialogue replacement. So basically, when you watch a movie and like the camera's focused on one character, but you still see the back of the head or something of the other character, and the character you see the back of the head, they're still talking. Sometimes when shooting the movie, that dialogue doesn't come out great, or they want to rewrite it or whatever. So back when I lived in Burbank, I had the cast there to record their lines for that. That was one of the things I did for the movie, so that was cool. But so I had seen bits and pieces of the movie because we had the movie on the TV, so they could like get into character and stuff while recording the ADR. I'd seen bits and pieces of the movie then, but hadn't seen the full thing. And then we finally watched it on Vudu, but then seeing the theater, so different around other people. So obviously Jay's character comes on the screen, and it's like, wow, this is so fucking cool. You're literally on the movie screen right now in front of us. And but her character gets shot pretty, a few minutes into her being in the movie. And to hear the gasp of the crowd, when she got shot was like, wow, that's so cool. Like, everyone collectively like, and just like feeling the energy and intensity of that moment with other people, knowing that like her acting was what caused them to be like, it was just so fucking cool. And then she had a line in the movie that was like, she's like on the phone with someone. I'm really giving too much away. Whatever. This is my podcast. Who gives a fuck? She's like on the phone with someone, and she's like, no, I'm not fucked up. I'm a little fucked up. Like that was like around basically what her line was. And like to hear people laugh in the crowd, it was like, wow, this is so cool, So like those moments didn't escape me fully. Like that, I recognized how fun and cool that was to experience in that moment. But, whatever. The movie finishes. Seeing her name on the credits was awesome. Seeing my name, and shout out to Tim, because Tim is the whole reason that either one of us were a part of this movie. Not to discount the work that she did, because she auditioned for the movie and she got the part and she earned it. She's worked her ass off to get to where she is. I don't mean it like that, but also I wouldn't have had the opportunity to work on this movie without Tim. So shout out to Tim. So seeing me and Tim's name next to each other on the thing, in the credits was cool. All that. And then afterwards, there was an after party and we didn't go. And I think that this is like kind of where my like not enjoying the experience as much as I wanted to boiled down to, is like, all right, so we got there and I know it's so stupid. Like I don't care about this stuff, but I guess part of me does. My ego still is there. And so, when I didn't like walk the red carpet or like get my picture taken at all. Even with her, that was something I disappointed in myself, not being like, yo, what do we have to get a picture together? We both worked on this movie. Like, this is a cool achievement. Like, this is shit we should frame and put in the house. Didn't do that. And I'll never get that chance again. So immediately afterwards, like, my brain is just racing about things like that. Like, fuck, we didn't take advantage of this opportunity that we don't know if we'll ever work on something together again. That's just the nature of the business. Who fucking knows? I know that I really only got this opportunity because of someone I know, and I don't know if it will come up again. Hopefully it does. But so my brain immediately was anxious, like, fuck, we wasted that opportunity. And then that mixed with like, like I said, the environment was not as like, woo, again, I know this is mostly in my head, but it is the way I felt. Perception is reality to a certain extent, right? So my perception of the environment we were in was one that I didn't love. I was not like, I don't know, maybe I need to like, maybe it's an ego thing too. Like, damn, I can't, like, I couldn't just let my guard down and be that person for a moment. It's like, I don't want to like sell my soul. Not that these people were selling their soul. Again, I'm being dramatic, but not that I want to like sell my soul and act like something I'm not. But also, I think that I am a little of the, like, I like walking around talking and meeting people. Like, networking is important. I didn't do any of that because I like didn't let myself get to that point. And so that regret was in my head. And then after the movie, there's an after party. She's not feeling great because of all the things I said too. Again, I don't want to like speak out of school and reveal too much of the night, but so we didn't go to that. And then again, before this whole event, in my head, I'm like, oh, that's gonna be fun too, to be around, having drinks, having a good time, eating food, like that. That's a dream to me. That's literally the best thing ever. Didn't do that. So it just like, rather than it being what I thought it was something very different, which doesn't mean it's bad, but it definitely affected how much I personally enjoyed the whole experience. And then it sent me just down a negative mental health spiral of like, what are you doing? Like this should have been great, regardless of how it went, like regardless of if it was the way you thought it would be or not. This is technically speaking the biggest achievement I've ever had in my career of music. And it's also something like, I love movies. I love TV. Like, not like in a lazy, like I sit around all day. Well, I do sometimes, but not in the sense of like, being on the couch eating potato chips, watching TV all day. Like, I love the art of film and television. And obviously music is such a huge part of that. So it is something that I would love to pursue or like continue to develop my career path in that vein of like working on music and television. And this was my biggest achievement, obviously, my only achievement in that world. And also just looking at my career as a whole, there's like, we went on tour and stuff, but that was an achievement adjacent. That was, we kind of positioned ourselves to do that. It wasn't like, hey, come on tour. It was a little different. And, like I said, the 1 million streams, that was huge, which happened a couple days after the premiere. But that has a whole taint. Not that kind of taint. That 1 million streams thing is tainted with like a bunch of other shit in my life that is weird and fucked up and strange. And so that didn't feel quite the way I thought it would. And then this So this is like the biggest achievement I've ever had in my career, and certainly hers. And it just didn't hit the way I thought it would. And I'm like, so that just sent me down a spiral of like negative thoughts of like, well, if that didn't feel good, then what the fuck is ever going to feel good? You know what I mean? But I guess it's just like more than anything, it was a lesson in like, just because something doesn't turn out the way you thought it would doesn't mean it's not still great. And like be more like accepting to the way things happen. Like it happened how it happened. Okay, so now just look back on it and enjoy those fond memories of hearing the crowd gasp, seeing your name in the credits. Again, those are like ego-driven things, but it's still it doesn't mean it's like a bad ego thing. Like you should feel proud of yourself. It should feel good to you to see your accomplishments live and in person and on a screen, see your name. Like, yes, it's self-serving and it doesn't really matter in the grand scheme of things, but it's still fun. It's still cool. It's still the biggest thing I've ever done. Like, if I can't at this moment take pride in the biggest thing that I've done in my career so far, then what am I doing any of it for? So to see, this is how my brain started going a million miles a minute. So that was I'm disappointed in myself a bit, but also this is, again, my head is so fucking divided always. I'm disappointed with not having enjoyed it just the way it was. But also, I don't disagree with myself in wanting it to have gone a different way. You know what I mean? Like, it went the way it did. Enjoy what you got out of it. But I still do wish that certain things had taken place that didn't, or that like things went differently than they did. I guess it's just, again, I just have to take it as a learning experience of like, if and when, hopefully when, I get a chance to do something like that again, I will use this as a reference point of like, well, this is how these things could go, and here's how maybe you can get more out of it than you did last time. So, again, I don't want to say that it was not, like, it still was really fucking cool. But I guess also, and not even on some social media shit, but like just generally speaking, so that I could have it, or like even my, obviously my family knew that this was taking place. Like, I don't even have any pictures to send them. I didn't take a single picture with her other than in the seat. Like, we took a little selfie before the movie started. Like, nothing. I took a picture of the marquee that says the name of the movie, and I took a little video of the credits. But nothing, like, you know what I mean? Like, I don't even have that as a memory. And also, as much as I hate social media, it is important to post things like this, of all things. I don't even have anything to post. So I don't want to say regret, but I suppose that's the only word I can think of right now. I regret slightly not taking more advantage of the opportunity, but also I also regret not enjoying the opportunity for what it was, because it was still a great, fun thing that we got to go do, and it's an awesome achievement that no matter what happens in my life or my career, I did that. So, and so did she. So there's that. That was that. But see, the thing is, also maybe because my mental health had been trending in a not so great direction, that could be certainly a factor of why I took that experience the way I did. Because it's not like this happened a couple weeks ago and that sent me down a spiral. I was already kind of not in a great place mentally. Then this happened. So obviously my head was more apt to go to that darker spot instead of enjoying it for what it was. But it's just another thing that happened these last couple weeks was I was supposed to have a studio session with someone who's like, I don't know how to explain it. Without saying their name. So I don't want to say their name because I don't want to feel silly if it never happens. Someone that I've worked with in the past, also because of Tim. Tim is just the arbiter of my entire career. I'm supposed to have a studio session with this person. They're of note and notoriety. Not in like a blood-sucking way. But obviously that is important to further my career. To work with like bigger people is what I'm aiming to do. So I was looking forward to the studio session, and it was supposed to be at not like in this room, which is nothing wrong with that. This is my studio. I love this space. But it was supposed to be at like, a studio, like a record label studio. Like, wow, who knows what could happen in those rooms, I've been in one or two, but not as many as I should be and need to be. And again, just another like thing to check off the list of like, all right, I'm moving in the right direction. And it fell through, and that happens. And doesn't mean it's not going to happen. It's still, tentatively getting pushed down the road slightly because this person is a very important person in their world and like has life and shit going on. And even I, leading up to that this was the week that I was pretty sick, not like deathly ill, like bedridden, but like nose, like sounded like Squidward for like 2 weeks. And like my nose was constantly running. That's why, if you can, hopefully the microphone's covering, I have this hideous like scab under I don't know how else to describe it, under my nose from that, like blowing my nose over and over and over and over again. And I had like a gross cough with me, like, and the studio session was supposed to happen like 2 days after I really started feeling sick. So I'm like doing everything I can to get better, like vitamin C, Dayquil, NyQuil, that kind of Mucinex, whatever. Just the typical thing, tea, like all the typical things you do to try to like shorten your cold, or I guess feel less. And now looking back on it, if I had gone to the studio looking like that, like I would have felt horrible the whole time. Also with the whole, I can't even say the word, thing that we went through as a world the last couple of years. Like people are definitely more like feel a little different about being sick. It used to be like, oh, you have a cold, you're around someone, oh, don't cough on me, don't get me sick. Now it's like, what are you doing here? That's weird. That's just like disrespectful that you're around us and you don't feel good. So, but still, with all that said, I was trying to get better so I could do this thing, and then it got canceled. And it was like, damn, this sucks. But not immediately, I had the thought to fall back on of like, this was supposed to get canceled because I'm not at my peak. I can't rap or sing if that's going to be a part of this whole situation. I literally sounded horrible. I still kind of have like a throaty situation. And then like also just being sick in front of other people, like it's like slightly embarrassing, like having your nose running and like it would have been gross. It was better that it didn't happen then. All right, it gets pushed down the road a little, and then down the road a little comes, and it can't happen today either. And then so it's like this week and a half was supposed to be like huge studio session with this person. Who knows what could come from it? And then the movie premiere. Wow, I'm back in it, baby. And like I felt like I was looking forward to these things, and it kind of was like pushing me, getting me through my week. Even when I wasn't feeling the best, it kind of like immediately lifted my spirits when these two things lined up. I'm like, awesome, I'm right where I'm supposed to be. All these things I tell other people and try to tell myself, like, be present in the moment, you're heading in the right direction, all that stuff. And then studio session gets canceled. Movie thing is not how I wanted it to go, and I'm right back in the doldrums. And so it's just been difficult for me to accept those things and not feel like, oh man, this is not working out the way I want it to. And again, I know the answer. I know that is not something I can fully control. I get it, but it doesn't mean it doesn't fucking stink when that's how it goes. So, those are two life events that I've been dealing with that have kind of like, before this happened, I already was not feeling great. Again, that recurring theme of like my place in the world, my place in my career, my place in life at this moment. I just feel like lost, or like I'm running through the mud. And things are like harder than they should be. And I feel like I'm probably making them harder on myself than they should be. But that was before those two things happened. Then those two things happened, and it was just like, this is proof. I'm proving my negative side correct. Or the world is proving my negative side correct. But like, I don't know. I know that it just ebbs and flows. Like I know we go through periods of time where things are great and feel great, all that stuff. And then it snaps back to the other side. But this has been one of the longer spats of like being pretty depressed that I've had in a while. And I'm trying my best to like pull myself up and be like, please shut the fuck up. Just keep doing your thing and everything will be fine. But it's difficult when 2 moments that should have been amazing just didn't live up to the hype in my head. And I feel like that's something we all go through. Like, you hype something up in your head to a point where you think it's going to be this perfect magical situation, and then it's still good, but it's not as good as you thought. And then you just tear down every other piece of it that was good and make it all bad. And that's like a horrible negative spot to be in. And you'll never enjoy life if you're stuck in that cycle of like building something up in your head. It doesn't meet your expectations. So then rather than take the good from it, it just all sucks. And so that's something that I've been trying to combat these past couple of weeks with those things that I just explained to you. And it's something that I think I'll have to combat forever, because I hold myself to a high standard and I want great things out of life. And it makes it really difficult to enjoy the good things in life when they don't quite live up to what I thought they would be. But it's okay. I mean, what are you going to do? Like, it's fine. My life, I'm okay. That's the only thing I'm trying to keep. I have to keep reminding myself that, like, okay, yeah, that is one side of things, but like, I am okay. I am healthy. I have a house, a roof over my head. I should say, not a house. I have a home. That's better than a house. I have food. I have a way of making money. I have a family that loves me. I have a girlfriend that loves me. I have things that I'm interested in and passionate about. And it's remarkable when you actually list the things that you have to be grateful for. I just realized what I'm not doing. And that's, I haven't been giving gratitude for the things that expressing gratitude for the things that I do have, and the unlimited amount of things I do have to be grateful for. And I've just been in my own head, like, it's not enough. It's not enough. It's not enough. And part of that is like a tiny hint of it's not enough is probably what pushes people to be great. And that's fine. And that's what I want for myself. But also, there's a way to do it. I think there's a way to do it where that doesn't eliminate all the other good things you have going on in your life. It's not enough. What do you mean it's not enough? Dude, look at me. My life is excess. Everyone who, if you're watching this on a phone or on a computer, or listening to this through headphones, like, that's all excess. That's all things you don't actually need. I have everything I could possibly actually need, and then some. I have so much other shit that I don't need that is still incredible. Like, and somehow yet still, it doesn't feel like enough. And it should be. It's more than enough. But also, on the flip side, okay, if it's not enough, like, bust your ass and get to the places you want to go in life. And this past week, I got to 2 of those places, and it didn't hit quite right. And that's because I have been failing to actually express gratitude for the things I do have. So when something I want comes up, it's still not good enough. And that's ridiculous. So that's something that I need to change. I know I need to change, and I know I need to continually be conscious of, because 2 weeks ago, the last time I did an episode, it was the same thing. I'm talking about, like, not being happy with what I have and not feeling like, questioning my place in the world. And those are things that are natural feelings that, like, we all go through and that we all will continue to go through for our whole lives, especially if you're a thinker or if you're an anxious, depressed person. Like, you'll always have those thoughts in your head, but you gotta sort through it all. That's the thing I struggle with the most, is like slowing my thoughts down and putting them into place where they belong, instead of having them all be some, what's that word? Cacophony or something? A jumbled mess of sound. It's like all at once. Jumbled mess of sound. My bad. A cacophony. I was right. A cacophony. A harsh or jarring sound, dissonance specifically, harshness in the sound of words or phrases. But people use it in like if you were to just play every note on the piano at once, like that's a cacophony or just. Anyways, that's what my thoughts are. Rather than letting them be the notes that they are and play in the correct part of the song of life. That's pretty good. So, yeah, there's that. I mean, and then I just get down on myself, for the typical thing of like the things I say all the time on the podcast. It's like I let myself get into these mental ruts, and then it affects my work ethic and like my continued pursuit of the things I want in my life. And then none of those things get done. And then it's like a horrible, vicious cycle of self-judgment and self-doubt and not doing the things that I know help me curb my anxiety and depression, like working hard. And I don't know, it's just like an endless cycle. And I'm trying my best to break out of it. Honestly, just sitting down and doing this right now feels really good, because not having it for that, the last week or whatever, I suppose was part of it too. As much as this podcast doesn't really matter. See, I'm such a fucking nihilist at heart. As much as like this podcast is not like doing anything for me per se yet, it's still like progress. You know what I mean? Like it's still motion, like forward motion of like, okay, you do this every Sunday. You do, like all those things you got to check off the list. And so it feels good to sit and talk right now, because I didn't do it for a whole 2 weeks, and those were very rough 2 weeks. And I'm just trying to like keep the momentum. Inertia is real. Inertia is so real. A body at rest tends to stay at rest. A body in motion tends to stay in motion. I believe that's Newton's. I shouldn't ever have this computer up here, honestly. Yeah, it's Newton's first law of motion. It's that a body at rest will remain at rest unless an outside force acts on it, and a body in motion will remain in motion unless an outside force acts upon it. And it's the same with life. It's the same with your mental health. The second I stop moving, the second I let my thoughts completely take over, they literally cripple me to the point of I feel like I can't move. I feel like I am just stagnant and still, and it just all caves in on me. But when I'm going to the gym, which I have been, luckily, not really, I just lied. That's not true. I've not been as consistent, but still am going. When I'm going to the gym, when I'm working on the things I need to work on, and just like staying in motion and not letting those thoughts creep in, I feel like I could blast to the moon. I feel like there's no stopping me. And then when I stop and something bad happens or things don't go as I expected, and it just starts to slowly crush around me, and I feel like I can never move from this spot again. And no matter what I try to do, I'll just be right here in this little dark hut of my head. And so inertia is real. I think that's the word for it. Fuck, I was on a roll. This was going to be the Sorry, I'm reading the definition of inertia. A tendency to do nothing or to remain unchanged. A property of matter by which it continues in its existing state. Yeah, so I was right. All right, inertia is the correct word. Inertia is real when it comes to mental health. It is. Just like you have to keep moving. I tell Jay this all the time because with the health stuff she's dealing with, like it's completely different than mental health. But supposedly, or I suppose slightly similar in the sense of like, if you don't feel good enough to like get up and work out, use your body, it's like it's slowly but surely going to get harder and harder and harder to actually do it, because you're becoming less healthy and more depressed and all those things. Like, whereas if you just force yourself to do it once, and then maybe you can force yourself to do it a second time, by the third time you have to force yourself to do it, it's gonna be easier. So inertia is real. I think I like that word. Mac Miller already used it for that amazing like freestyle he did years ago. I'd like to use that in some way in my music or my art of some sort. Yeah, but it's real, dude. You gotta keep going. You, at least for me, like I know that I have to keep moving forward. Otherwise, I feel like I'm jumping backwards. And in some ways, that's kind of the truth, um, which is something I get anxious about too. Maybe it's like a feast or famine mentality that's not necessarily healthy, but it's like that classic trope of like if you're not like, if you're not, you wasn't with me shooting in the gym. If you're not in the gym putting shots up as a basketball player, right? The person that you're going to compete against, there's someone there putting in the work. And so every moment you're not like chasing and doing this thing that you want to be doing, someone else is utilizing their time better and is getting ahead of you. Now with music, it's a little different, and I'm trying to like train myself to believe this because that's always my mentality, and that just anytime I'm not like in the studio, or times where I'm in the studio and it's not going well, I immediately am like, I don't stand a chance because other people are doing this or that, which comparison is the thief of joy. But also it is okay to like look at your peers and see like, oh, they're putting in the work, I better get my ass up and do what I got to do. With music, it's a little different than like sports where you're literally physically competing against another person. If they put more work in while you were just doing nothing, they're obviously going to have a massive advantage. Whereas with music, it's like, I guess I'm competing against people, but also not really, because nothing they're doing is going to be the same as what I'm doing. So there's still going to be a space for it regardless. But it still is a motivator to me, even though it can cripple me emotionally sometimes, that like if I'm not doing it, someone else is, and they're going to get the opportunity that I could. But that, again, that is a feast or famine. Like it doesn't, like there's not I don't know. I guess this is like a philosophical question or a philosophical debate. Like, is there a finite amount of opportunities in a given space? Maybe. I tend to believe now, no, I don't think so. It's like 1,000,000,000,000,000,000 people are trying to be a musician. Sure. But like none of them are the exact same. Unless you're like a pop star. Like that's, now that I've gotten that out of my head, that I'm not going to be like a pop star. Like, and I don't mean like I'm like, I'll never be Drake. I don't mean it like that. I mean that's not my desire or expectation anymore to be that. I think that I could be great in my world, my lane. And so now that that's my mentality, I don't necessarily think that like my, like the hourglass is going to like run out on my path before, like, you know what I mean? Like if I don't do things this exact way, then like I'll never, I think now in my head there's like a little more leeway to that, but it's still like a fine line because you have to be putting the work in and stuff like that. I don't know. Enough about that. Who gives a fuck? Yeah, I don't know. So it's like, I guess this is like a silly thing. Like again, I should be more proud of myself than I feel right now. I don't know if it's positive. Like all the great athletes you hear, it's like Tom Brady, like, what's your favorite Super Bowl ring? The next one. Cool. I agree, but also it's not letting me be happy about the ring I just won. I'm trying to like toe that line because I think a little bit of both is probably the best way to balance your mental health, being positive and, being happy and content with all the amazing things that you do have in your life, but also knowing that if you want more, it's going to be more hard work and you have to keep pushing forward and moving forward. So this past week, 2 amazing things that happened. Movie premiere that, this movie that I worked on, had the pleasure of working on, and also reaching 1 million streams on Spotify on Black Screen featuring Grabbits. Those are 2 things that should have been nothing but ecstatic for me, and instead it was kind of the opposite. And so I need to like snap back into the middle of, hey, congratulations, man. This is awesome. You should be proud of yourself. These are 2 awesome achievements that you just had. 2 things that prove that not everything you've done in the past is completely for nothing. It's working in some way or another. Be proud of yourself. Be happy. And then boom, right on the flip side, you got more to do. That's a small taste of the things that could come to you if you continue to push yourself and work hard, but don't completely lose the fact that this is an achievement and you should be happy about it. So that's difficult for me. That's difficult for me, but that's what I'm trying to do this week. Cause I'll tell you what, I went all the way on one side and was like, this means nothing and you have to do more. And that's not fun either. I should have absolutely just enjoyed the moment of those 2 achievements and been like, this is pretty great. Now let's keep working. So I'm trying to toe that line. I think maybe sometime I might put my keyboard over here and play a little something while I go. I think it'll be more interesting than just hearing me talk. Speaking of which, Zach and I are going to work something out where he comes on more often, not just once, because I need the help, and it's more interesting for the viewer or listener, and he's really good at it, and it'll be more better. So maybe like once a month or 2 times a month, that would be half the episodes. He'll join me, or I'll go down to him and we'll do it together. So that's just completely side note, but that's something to look forward to, I suppose, if you actually are listening to this. Yeah, man. So I just don't know. I'm trying to trust the process. I'm trying to accept my place in the world. I'm trying to continue to push myself while being happy with what I have achieved and what I do have in my life, which is a lot. I have a lot to be happy for. It's not easy. For the first time, this is another thing, for the first time, like ever, I started feeling my brain compare myself to other people on social media. I have since the beginning feel like, maybe subconsciously, we all do it. If you use social media, you are subconsciously comparing your life to other people's, which is so negative and terrible. But I feel like since the beginning, that has never really been an issue for me, like at the forefront of my mind, more than it is for just everybody. But in this negative headspace this past week was the first time that I found myself comparing my life to other people online. And I was like, absolutely not. No fucking way. This is a complete waste of your mental space. So that's something that like, I don't know. I feel like I don't spend that much time on social media, but then you look at the end of the week and it's like, holy shit, what the fuck? What was I doing on Instagram for 8 hours this week? That's unbelievable. So I think I'm going to do my best to that's the tough thing. It's like you feel like you're almost going to get left behind if you do like a social media hiatus or something like that, especially with something that I'm doing. Like I have to be on social media. I have to post and engage and like promote my shit. And that's the number one way to do so at this current moment. Even though the algorithm and all that stuff, like no one sees half the stuff I do anyway, which is crazy. But like I have to be on it and active on it. But like I don't know if it's like maybe only a couple days a week or maybe like an hour a day and with intent be on social media. Like, all right, engage with at least this many things. Post this many things, post something on your story, and then literally never think about it again. But I know it sounds silly, but but that makes me feel like I'll almost get left behind, or like my, even with simple things like my friend, like my core group of friends from high school who are all still really close. Like we don't talk all that often as much as we used to. Like the group chat is dead. But like we have a Snapchat group chat and an Instagram group chat that most people are pretty active in, just sending like silly videos, memes, whatever, like you're running the mill shit. But that's our way of communicating now. And it's like, well, damn, I won't even see like the funny stuff that they send. That's probably not good. That's too much in one direction. But just in general, like I know it, like mostly social media adds zero to my life, but also the career path I've chosen, I have to be active on it. So I gotta it's gotta be some sort of middle ground where it's like, get in and out, do the things you got to do, check the group chat, and then do something else while sitting on the toilet taking a shit. Like read a book. That's what I gotta do for sure. Yeah. So I guess this last couple of weeks has been difficult, and again, sitting down and talking and just like literally releasing my thoughts has been helpful. I feel better now than I did 54 minutes ago, which is good. That's a great thing. And I'm just got to try my best to keep that inertia going and remain consistent. Like, it sounds silly, but with the whole like New Year's resolution thing, it's so like not easy at first. It's difficult at first. Then you get into a certain flow and it becomes so easy. Like, you got everything, like you schedule this and that, and then it gets hard again to like keep that discipline. I'm in that phase right now with like all the things I set out to do this year. Like, started off, it was difficult. Then I got in a real good groove, and now I'm in that other side of the parabola where it's like, it's hard to snap right back into that like really good groove of discipline and stuff like that. So that's what I'm going to try to do this week, along with being grateful, more gratitude, way more gratitude. But also gratitude, like genuine gratitude, not just like listing things that I'm thankful for, which is helpful and that's cool, but like really processing why I'm grateful for them, just how important they are on my hierarchy of needs. And believing that I'm grateful for them, believing there's a reason to be grateful, believing there's a reason to be happy in my life, not just listing them, because, I do that kind of, unconsciously, subconsciously, and it doesn't like take hold and really like, form a framework of my mental health as much as it should. So I think I have to be more, what's that word? Not conscious. I have to be more deliberate and intentional with expressing gratitude for all the things I have. And so that's going to be what I try to do this week. And I think it'll really help. Again, for 115th time, sitting down doing this helped. Just doing the things I need to do, doing the things I want and need. I mean, when a want and a need meet up, how fucking lucky could you be? When you want something and need something, and you like, all right, when it comes to doing things, when you get to do something that you want and you need, and it's the same thing, that's literally the best thing you could possibly be doing. So I need to be like grateful for those opportunities, like making music. I need to be in the studio working on things, but I also want to be in the studio working on things. Okay, boom. Why? How? What is keeping me from doing that? That's ridiculous. Same thing with the podcast. Like, I missed a week. Like, I want and need to continue to push this podcast forward. So why am I not doing it? I want and need to be eating healthy. There, you know what I mean? It's like those things, like things you need to do that you don't want to do, understandably difficult. Things you want to do that you don't need to do somehow take over sometimes. But when you want and need to do something, it should be way easier than it is to just do that thing. So that's another thing I'm going to focus on this week. Like, when your wants and needs meet up, you should feel like you're in the pocket, like you're in the flow state of like, yes, this is perfect. This is exactly what I got to be doing right now. So I'm going to try to get back to that this week. And just keep pushing. I mean, I'm okay. I got to remember that too, that I'm okay. It's not always going to be great. It's not always going to live up to my expectations, and that's okay too. But I'm okay. And for the most part, all the people that I love and care about around me are okay. So, hello, what are you complaining about? What are you so sad about? It's going to be all right, man. It's going to be all right. I got to remember, I got this. You got to remember, you got this. And if not, we got this. We got this together. I have to remember that. I have to remember that that's my credence, my credo. I don't know. That's my little stupid phrase that I came up with to end every podcast. I got this, you got this, we got this. And it's true, and I've kind of gotten away from it a bit over these past difficult weeks, and that'll happen. That's kind of just how life is. Have I had this hair on my face this whole time? Whatever. No, but it's true. I got this. It's all going to be okay, because it has to be, because it's always worked out. Whether it's the way you want or expect it or not, it's going to happen the way it happens. Accept the way it happens. Keep it pushing, dude. And I hope you can remember that too. But again, I thank you so much for listening. I apologize for people who actually try to listen every week, that it's been a little less consistent lately, but it is called Mental Health Mondays. I obviously have some shit I'm dealing with in my head, so I'm trying my best to remain consistent. And I think that with the way I feel right now, I feel pretty good after all of this. So I'm hoping I can keep it going. That inertia, just get that inertia going. Keep going. Keep moving forward. And just accept I'm gonna be tired sometimes, and it's okay. Gotta just keep moving forward. But I love you, people. Thank you so much for listening. I got this. You got this. We got this. Take care of yourself this week. Try to get that inertia going if it's been lacking, and if you still got it going, then just keep moving in that pocket. You're heading the right direction. You're doing the right thing. And just remember to enjoy all the amazing things you have going on in your life right now, because that's what I need to remember. And so I appreciate you listening. Thank you so much. Take care of yourself this week. See you next week.